Morning. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I have not made videos in a while. And I'm super excited actually to make some of these videos. So I want to tell you a story about my family, about where I come from. I don't know how many parts we're gonna do, but please stay with me. So I want to show you guys. A lot of people have an issue of which I'll make a video about. We have an issue of running away from ourselves. We have a way of wanting to close the door and forgetting where we come from so much that because of the pain, because of the suffering, because of everything that has happened when we were growing up, and you decide that, you know what, I don't want that life for myself. I mean, we should do better, of course, right? However, as a spiritual person, you will have to go through those bad parts in life. It's part of your training. And eventually you find your way in life. You will still have to go back and fix and untangle and face your fears. So I come from a family of voodoo. My maternal side is heavy on voodoo. I was born into voodoo. So my grandfather, my father's mother, and my mother's mother, the couple, which are my grandparents on my maternal side, were born into voodoo heavy. I never met my grandfather's mother, but I've met my grandmother's mother when I was 7. She died at 104, 105. So the story is my okay, let's start with my grandfather. My grandfather's mother was into voodoo. My grandmother obviously at some point lived with my grandfather's mother, and she knew the woman was into voodoo, but she lived with her and she ate the food she made, and whatever happened, voodoo could have happened, voodoo could have not have happened. Nobody knows. I don't really know what the story is because her story is quite short. But the story that sticks with me a lot is on my grandmother's side of the family, because one of my lead ancestors is my great grandfather, who is my grandmother's father. He's the one that called me from Pitor. He's like, Yewena, come back. So one of my lead ancestors, my great grandfather, was Igeka, Ngakachicha, the alchemist, the ones that were Ngemiti. He was a healer. You would go to him and tell him that you have this kind of a problem and he will give you a solution. He I don't know if he was a prophet or he had a prophetic gift, but all I know is that he was Iged, right? Because he died in 1943 or 46. I can't really remember the dates. So my great grandmother, his wife, came from a family of voodoo. How they got married, why they got married, God knows. I don't know. I wasn't there, so don't ask me. I don't know that. And because my grandfather was spiritual, he could dream, he had a hunch, he could see visions and stuff like that, right? So he knew his wife was doing voodoo. And apparently, my great grandmother was close to a specific family member. She spent a lot of time with them. And they would do voodoo stuff. So my great grandfather would see those things and he would physically assault my great grandmother because he was trying to get her off voodoo, force her out of it. But Ukiele was like, nope, I'm committed to the process. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's a way to come out of voodoo. I will tell you more about voodoo because I know voodoo very well because I was born into it. It's in my DNA, right? So eventually, the voodoo community, the black magic community, or should I say the witchcraft community, plotted against my great grandfather to kill him. So he had a lot of enemies, including his own siblings. So my great grandfather came from a family of traditional healers and spiritual people. So his brother, older brother, and two older brothers actually, they were also spiritual people. And they also hated him and they also were doing voodoo and then they wanted to kill him. So there was that part and then there was the voodoo community as well. So they all worked together to actually get rid of him. Apparently, they tried a lot of times, but he was so strong that no one could actually get to him. But how they managed to get through to him, is that they made a snake bite my his son, okay, who comes after my grandmother. So the snake bit him. So because he's a kid, he had to heal his own son, or the son dies. So he had to choose, but he didn't know that that was the situation. So he was healing his son, and somehow, apparently, the poison killed him. The son didn't die. He actually just passed on now, month ago. He lived until now, and he only passed away about a month ago now. My grandfather, great grandfather, died from the whatever the process was. So something to do with whatever the snake had, when came into him, and he died. And immediately after my grandfather died, my great grandfather died, my whole family changed course and went into ZCC church. So that's where ZCC became a big part of my family, my maternal family, my grandmother's family, basically. So spirituality was non existent. There was fear, there was confusion because of what happened. My great grandmother, the leader of the pack, the one that understood exactly what happened, took everyone to ZCC church. She was there, she knew exactly what happened. But somehow they all ran to ZCC church because they were trying to protect themselves. Apparently, one of my grandmother's siblings was a ZCC attendee, and then some of the revelations she got from the church, and somehow everyone went to join the church. So ZCC church has been a big part of that side of my family. I'm also sharing this for myself, for my kids, and also for my family, because I know a lot of them do follow me, that are becoming spiritual, that are awakening right now. So if you don't know the story, this is the story, apparently, according to what I've heard and been told a couple of times by different kinds of people. The same great grandmother that took everyone to ZCC church was the one that was voodooing everyone in the family. Like, she was a queen of voodoo. She was a queen of voodoo. She voodooed her own kids. My grandmother, her siblings, all of her siblings. She made sure that she voodooed everyone. There was lies, there was secret, there was fear, there was anger, there was control, there was a lot happened. I don't think it's a family that's perfect, if I'm being honest, but some of the things that went wrong were my grandmother's, great grandmother's fault. Um, yeah, without going too much into detail, because there's a lot to the story than what I'm sharing. So I'll just give you a little bit of what's comfortable, because some of these things are secrets that still need to be untangled, or people will still know that don't want to talk about them. And then there's me, obviously. I get told that revelations also come from the guides themselves. So voodoo is in my DNA because I was born into it. We don't get to choose the family that we get born into, but this is my scenario. And when my grandmother got married to my grandfather, she didn't want to go home. She avoided going home by all means, even though she did visit home, but she didn't want to go home because her marriage was not comfortable either. She went through a lot of turbulences in life. She went through a lot of struggles. My grandfather was abusive emotionally, spiritually, financially, in all ways possible. But she never wanted to go home because she knew there's poverty at home, number one. Number two, there's a struggle of voodoo. Spirituality has been a big part of our lives, whether good or bad. Basically, I am raised from a family of spirituality, whether it was good or bad, which is voodoo, and also religion, and also, lastly, my grandfather being the alchemist, right? So, finally, after going through my life and living and trying this life thing, I get forced, well, not forced per se, but I get revelations that I'm supposed to be a traditionalist or a spiritualist, if you may. And I come home, I thought it was like in and out. Excuse me. Sorry. I thought it was an in and out thing, but it wasn't. It became more. And I learned more. I understood more. Let me do another part. There's something I want to share. I'll come back. So some of these things I found out when I was on my spiritual journey, which my grandfather, great grandfather, revealed some stuff to me about the family and what happened. When you become spiritual, there's things that you do for yourself, which is on a soul level, on as alone for you. There's debts that you pay for yourself, which is when you sign a contract and say, I'm going to be a spiritual person and I'm going to serve this way, this way, this way in the world. Most of us have to make sure that we find out what that is, what that contract is. It's inside of you, it's inside your heart, it's inside your head. And you pay debts of your family members that have passed on, which is your ancestors. Your ancestors are people that gave birth to you. They're not strangers. They are not people, aliens that adopted you or abducted you. They are people that gave birth to you, which means whatever problems there is something that you were born into. Specifically, like with voodoo, as I've mentioned before, that voodoo is a big part of me. It's in my DNA. For me to join the voodoo community, it's not going to be a train smash because I already know how they operate. Because it's in my DNA. I was born into it. While it was happening, I was in my mother's womb, and my mother was in her mother's womb. So somehow I do recognize it, and somehow I know it on a soul level, not on a brain logical level, but on a soul level. You pay your own debt, you pay your family debt, your mother and your father, your grandparents, and then your great grandparents. It depends how far it goes, but you can pay somebody's debt somehow. So you heal yourself, you heal your mother and your father, you heal your grandparents, and you heal your great grandparents. That's why lineage. That's why we say that you have to fix umsam. Fixing umsam is literally that. I'll make another video about that as well. It's literally that. You pay the debts that needs to be paid. Paying the debts, it doesn't mean monetary value. It means spiritually, energetically. That's how you heal these things. And most of the time, when you have these spiritual gifts, you first have to learn what you need to heal. You can't heal something that you don't understand. And some of you guys have spiritual gifts that are supposed to help heal the lineage, heal yourself, heal those that have passed, and heal those that are coming after you. But people think when you're spiritual, you have to be a sangoma or you have to be a traditional healer or ngaka. That's not always necessarily the case. Some people don't have a gift of serving people, but they have a gift of healing themselves, healing their families, and healing their lineage. So now, I am born into voodoo and I understand voodoo very well. You can't really tell me anything about voodoo because it's in my DNA. I live in it every day of my life. Where I am right now, there's a lot happening outside of me, outside the house. At night, kunzima, there's a lot going on. But I can't run away from it and I can't heal it if I'm not in it. I have to live through it. I have to be uncomfortable. It has to make me uncomfortable for me to say that, no, I'm not doing the same thing. I'm going to be doing differently. I have a choice. I can just simply say, hey, what's up, man? Can I please join in? And then they sign me in and then I'm in it. Simple. So most of you have more than one gift. And one gift is healing the lineage. Ukufixa umsam. Some of you guys are above somos. You have to revive the family. You have to revive the tradition. And I'm one of those people because I had to do something that everyone hasn't done in years, which is becoming the person that I am. The clothes I'm wearing is a representation of my great grandfather. The work that I do is a representation of my great grandfather because he called me, he said, you have to tell the truth. Everything that was put in a knot, secrets and this and this and that and this, now you have to do the opposite. You need to be transparent about spirituality. Tell people what it is, what it does, because the problem is people don't know and it hurts people. People still keep getting hurt because they don't understand. Truth. It's now that we need to tell the truth about spirituality. Whatever that's been told for over the years has been built on fear, built on ego. It's been cults. It's been this. It's been that. Hence why we are the people that we are today. We are lost. We are confused. And we don't know who we are. I never knew these about my family. I never knew my great grandfather was Iket. I didn't know until I became spiritual. I didn't even know there was a randavul next to our house. The house is still there. The randavul is not there, but apparently there was one. And my grandfather used to live in it. Well, do his spiritual stuff in it. I only found out at my age, at 30 something, that there is that part of our family. My grandmother is a strong ZCC church goer, even today. Well, now that she's old, she can't go to church, but she has been committed to the church for many, many, many years. She knew she was spiritual like me. Some of the gifts I have are hers. Some of the debts I'm paying are hers. But it's my life. It's who I am. I didn't get to choose who I was or who I became. Well, I decided at some point. But some of the stuff that I have is in my DNA, is the things that I was born with into. Some of the gifts I have are my grandmother's. Some of the gifts I have are my mom's. Some of the gifts I have are my dad's. Some of the gifts I have are my great grandfather. Some of the gifts I have are my great grandmother's on both lineages, my mother's side and my father's side. The debts I pay are both on my mother's side and on my father's side. So you are going to have to pay the debts. And when I say debts, I'm not saying that you're going to go to the bank and make a loan, guys. Going to the water, cleansing, rituals, do, praying, patla. It's part of it. That's how you pay the debts in spirituality. But I'll tell you more about it. Like I said, there's a lot to teach. So stop running. Stop running away from yourself, because you are not going to get to where you're going. Because whatever you're running from is inside of you. You are running with it. You'll keep running and running and running, and look behind you, it's here. And you run again. And you run again, and you look behind you, it's here. And you keep running again, because it's not going to go away. You are ancestors, you are spirit, guys. Everything is in your DNA, in your head, in your mind, in your soul. Only you would understand it. That's why dreams happen to you. Or you're the only one that sees dreams. You're the only one that hears things. You're the only one that understands the spirit. No one else does. Why are you comparing yourself with people that don't? Why are you comparing yourself to people that don't have the same gifts that you have? So and so is living a normal life. So you are not living a normal life, are you? So why are you comparing yourself with someone who lives a normal life? So I love you all, guys. That's the story about my lineage, that I was born into voodoo. That's why I'm going to make a couple of videos about voodoo as well, so that I can show you how voodoo, the voodoo community works. I'm a downloader. I download more information, especially when I'm in the grounds or in the space of people of specific calibers and specific personality traits and hobbies and whatever. Because I live with them, there's a lot of things I know now that I did before, because I get to see them. I get to experience it every day. But I don't get involved. It has nothing to do with me. I don't fear them. They're not God. So even if they do whatever they do, some days I'll be sitting in and I hear things outside. I won't get up and do anything about it. I'll sleep like a baby, because I pray and I part like I'm protected. And I trust my God. I trust my ancestors to guide me as well. So why would I be scared of the same people that God created? Because God is the creator of heaven and earth. So why would I be afraid of another human being? And most of the time, they don't even have to do much, because they have the same gifts that we do. They just manifest, they just do this and that. But the problem is, people are just afraid of the unknown. So, but I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Love and light. Peace.